Chapter 1. The Anomaly. We are taught that the Great Pyramid of Giza is a tomb, built by thousands of slaves to bury a dead pharaoh. But there is a huge problem with that story. Inside the Great Pyramid, no mummy has ever been found, no hieroglyphs praising the king, no elaborate paintings of the afterlife. Instead, we find something that looks more like a machine than a grave. Consider the materials. Millions of tons of granite containing high amounts of quartz crystal, a material that creates electricity when under pressure. Massive underground aquifers, creating rushing water below the structure, and copper fittings that serve no structural purpose. What if we have been looking at this massive structure completely wrong? What if the Great Pyramid wasn't designed to house the dead, but to power the living? Nikola Tesla was obsessed with the pyramids. He believed they were ancient transmitters. Today, we are going to look at the blueprints that suggest he was right. Chapter 2. The Blueprint of a Machine. To understand the pyramid, you have to stop looking at it as architecture and start looking at it as engineering. The specific layout of the inner chambers closely resembles a modern power plant schematic. Let's look at the materials again. The exterior was once covered in white limestone, which is an electrical insulator, meaning it kept energy inside. The interior is made of granite, a conductor. This is the basic design of a massive capacitor or battery. But where did the energy come from? Deep beneath the Giza plateau lie ancient underground aquifers. When the Nile River flowed closer to the pyramids, the rushing water beneath the structure would have created a physical vibration. This vibration hits the granite above. This is where physics comes in. Quartz crystal has a property called piezoelectricity. If you squeeze quartz, it produces a spark. The pyramid was essentially a geological machine designed to harness the vibration of the earth and convert it into electromagnetic energy. Chapter 3. The Missing Components. Critics argue, if it's a machine, where are the wires? But we are thinking too small. We found evidence of advanced chemistry inside the shafts. In the so-called Queen's Chamber, archaeologists found traces of zinc and hydrochloric acid. When you mix these two chemicals, you create hydrogen gas. Hydrogen is one of the most powerful energy sources in the universe. If the pyramid was filled with hydrogen gas, the piezoelectric energy from the quartz would ionize the gas, turning the entire interior into a glowing column of energy. And at the very top, there was likely a gold capstone, the Benben stone. Gold is a perfect conductor. This capstone would have acted as the transmission point, shooting a beam of ions into the ionosphere. Chapter 4. The Evidence of Light. But what was this energy used for? If they had electricity, where are the light bulbs? Deep in the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, there is a relief carved into the stone that historians struggle to explain. It depicts a massive, transparent bulb. Inside the bulb, a snake stretches out in a wavy line, emanating from a lotus flower. Engineers look at this and see a Crookes tube, an early version of a light bulb. The snake is the filament. The lotus is the socket. And underneath, there is a distinct cable connecting the device to a box, often interpreted as a battery or generator. There is no soot found on the ceilings of many deep Egyptian tombs. How did they paint intricate art in total darkness without torches? The answer might be right there on the wall. They used clean, wireless light powered by the grid. Chapter 5. The Tesla Connection. This sounds like science fiction until you look at the patents of Nikola Tesla. In 1905, Tesla built his Wardenclyffe Tower. His goal was to transmit wireless energy through the earth. Tesla's tower design was almost identical in function to the Great Pyramid. Both required an aquifer below. Both required quartz and granite conductors. Tesla claimed he received signals from elsewhere. Perhaps he was simply rediscovering a physics manual that had been written in stone 5,000 years ago. He realized that the Earth itself is a conductor, and if you can ring the planet like a bell, you can transmit power anywhere instantly. Chapter 8. The Underground Giants. If the pyramid was the power plant, where are the batteries? The answer might lie underground, a few miles away, at a site called the Serapeum of Saqqara. Here, in pitch-black tunnels carved out of bedrock, archaeologists found 24 massive boxes made of solid granite and diorite. Each box weighs up to 100 tons. That is the weight of 20 African elephants. The official story is that these were coffins for sacred bulls. But when they opened them, they found them completely empty. No bulls, no bones, no mummies, just emptiness. The engineering of these boxes is impossible for Bronze Age chisels. The granite comes from a quarry 500 miles away. How did they move 100-ton objects through narrow underground tunnels with only torches and ropes? It defies physics. Chapter 9. Evidence of machines. But the mystery gets deeper when you look at the precision. The inside corners of these boxes are cut to a perfect 90-degree angle. Engineers have measured them with modern instruments and found they are accurate to within a fraction of a human hair. This level of precision is not needed for a coffin. It is only needed for high-tech industry. And it's not just the boxes. All over Egypt, we find granite cores that were drilled out with tube drills. The striations on these cores show that the drill was cutting through quartz crystal 500 times faster than modern diamond drills. Sir William Flinders Petrie, the father of archaeology, admitted that these cuts could only be made by a tool applying 2 tons of pressure. The Egyptians supposedly only had soft copper saws. Copper cannot cut granite. It's like trying to cut wood with a plastic knife. This is clear evidence of powered machinery that was lost to history. Chapter 10. The Acoustic Key. So how did they lift these stones? If they didn't use cranes, perhaps they used frequency. Ancient legends speak of priests using sound to make heavy stones float. Today, we know about acoustic levitation, using sound waves to lift small objects. NASA uses this technology. Granite has a high content of quartz crystal, which makes it extremely resonant. If you strike it, it rings like a bell. It is possible that the Great Pyramid, the Serapeum boxes, and the obelisks were all tuned to a specific frequency. By manipulating sound waves, the builders could have theoretically reduced the weight of the stones, making them easy to move. They didn't just stack rocks, they tuned them like instruments in a massive orchestra. We are looking at a civilization that mastered sound, frequency, and vibration in ways we are just beginning to rediscover. Chapter 6. The Global Grid. But the Great Pyramid wasn't working alone. Evidence suggests it was just the primary node in a global network. We find massive pyramid structures in Mexico, in Bosnia, and even hidden in the forests of China. Many of these structures are aligned perfectly with specific star constellations and built on powerful magnetic ley lines. Just like a modern cell phone network requires towers spaced across the landscape to create coverage, the ancients may have built a world wireless grid, a decentralized internet of energy that covered the entire planet, free for anyone to tap into. This was the civilization we lost. Chapter 7. The Catastrophe. So why isn't it working today? Why is the Great Pyramid silent? Inside the Grand Gallery, there are scorch marks on the walls, signs of intense chemical heat. Some engineers believe that at some point in history, the machine malfunctioned. The hydrogen gas may have exploded, blowing out the interior and dislodging the shafts. The machine was broken. The capstone was stolen or destroyed, and humanity descended into a dark age, forgetting the technology and eventually looking at these ruins and thinking, "This must be a tomb." We are left with the shell of a reactor we no longer understand. But the blueprint remains. The question is not how they built it, but why we haven't rebuilt it. Is free energy hidden in our past? Subscribe to the Artifact Archive as we continue to decode the lost timeline.